sometimes with strength training, you'll get into that self-sabotage of like, oh, I can't go 4 days this week, so I'm just not going to go at all. But you want to think about it as it's like deposits into a bank account. And so if you just look at every single workout like that mini deposit, it will help you develop that mindset. Like it doesn't matter if you can't go all of the time, but every time you go, it does matter. And even on top of this, 50% of women will get osteoporosis, which is
Yeah.
crazy. That's
The bone health part of it is insane. Like,
yeah.
hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Wellness Effect. Happy Wednesday. Hope you guys are having a great week so far. Today, we're going to be talking about a topic that we all feel very strongly about, which is resistance training and strength training. And obviously, there's benefits in the sense that you're going to look great if you resistance train and how it's the best way to change your body composition, but there's also a lot of other benefits aside from that. So we're going to really dive into how resistance training and strength training is much more than just building muscle, and I'm excited to kind of go into it. But before we go into it, let's do a little bit of a recap. Lacey had a very vibey weekend. She was off the grid. We didn't hear from her for 5 days. We're happy she's alive.
She's still there a little bit.
A little bit.
I'm
Piece of
still
her.
vibing a little bit. Yeah, I went to a music festival. We went to Shambhala. That's like a music festival. It's near Nelson, BC. But it was so good. I've wanted to go for so many years because when I was in university, we had like our group of friends that were from around Nelson and they all went. And so I've wanted to go for probably like 15 years. And a couple of my friends in our friend group here went last year and it was just amazing. And so this year, me and Zach gathered our stuff, and there was probably 12 of us total, but there was a group of 6 of us that camped together, and then the other group of 6 camped together separately as well. So, yeah, it was a fully immersive music fest. So we did camp on the grounds, which is just so nice and fun. Like
I thought
knowing
you
that
were
you're
going to
just
say we camped on the ground, and I was like, oh.
No, but I probably could have a couple nights just slept right on the ground. But no, we had a trailer, but we had a really sick campsite. It was so awesome. And yeah, we just went and enjoyed the music, but it was cool because it was on this huge plot of land in the middle of nowhere. It was a farm and they have like this huge river going through the farm. So everyone kind of just goes to the river during the day and chills. And the music doesn't really start till like 5 or 6. And the people who we wanted to see didn't even really start till like 8:30 or 9. So you just kind of like sleep half the day away. And then we would all go to the river and just hang out and then kind of go back and chill for a bit and then go to whatever the music you want to see. But the sound quality, you guys, is something that I have never experienced before. It was so intense and insane. Like the amp and just the bass was, you could feel it through your whole entire body. Like you had to wear earplugs the whole entire time. And it was still
Wow.
like, you could just like, I don't even know how to explain it, but it was literally vibrating. Like the sound
Wow.
quality is just insane. Like you can hear it throughout your whole or feel it throughout your whole body. It just like it's the most insane thing ever. And it was just crazy. But it was so good. Definitely highlights were Elenium. That's who I really wanted to see. So he was Sunday night. And then I can't even think of who
So funny
else. I'm
because
a
I
little bit
thought you were
brain
going to
dead. I'm
say
not gonna
Alanis Morissette. I was like, oh, yes.
Alanis
I'm
Morissette
like,
was
Millennium. I
amazing.
literally have no idea who that is. That's so
No,
funny.
it's mainly like
Yeah.
DJs for sure. There was no Alanis Morissette there, but no, it was just really good. And like some of our friends had service the whole weekend, but for whatever reason, mine and Zach's phone just didn't pick up any bars, which was honestly just always a blessing in disguise when you're like, oh shoot, I can't check my phone.
Can't talk
But
to anybody.
definitely didn't communicate with some of our team members that I was going to be completely off the grid. So I'm sure that was a little surprise when I didn't answer for 5 days. But no, it was really good. And it's just so fun to be with everyone. And
It's crazy that the music quality would be so good because you'd think because you're in like an open field, it wouldn't be that great.
the stages, it was insane. Like I can't even begin to explain how it would feel in the whole time. You're just like, you literally feel it through your whole body to your bones. And you're just like,
And
yeah.
it's crazy how it's evolved over time too. Like I remember it used to be like just like a little dinky festival. And when you said 15 years, I'm like, it's been going on for so long and no other music festivals in Canada other than like That one in Montreal, I can't think of the name right now.
Yeah. No, I
Because
think this year was like its 26th year and it
Wow.
sells out every single year with no corporate sponsors. So it's just from people, it sells out by people just buying tickets there to go to the next year, every single year. And yeah, it's like the top music festival in Canada for ever, but
Ugh,
also like one of the
yeah.
top ones in the
so
world. But
cool.
it's just the community there is so cool. And there's so many fun things to do in between the stages. And they'll have just like a huge area in the trees with like all of these hammocks that you can just go, and so we would like go and just chill and like take a breather for like an hour and just hang out, or like during the day we just go sleep in the hammocks, and there would be like huge big nets that you could all sit in, or just like individual hammocks, and there'd be like basketball, like it was just absolutely anything that you need, and everyone just says like, oh, we're at home, like this is home, like that's kind of the whole thing, because
Yeah.
you just don't leave, and there's just so much to do and so much to see, and like so many fun games that you can play and so many
Wow.
crazy art. Like I was watching this one TikTok, and it's like all of the other music festivals, they have like art, but it's for the sake of selling something, like, oh, come into this cool thing and we'll sell you a hot
Mhm.
dog or whatever.
Yeah.
And Shambhala just has like so many cool art things that are just there for art. Like
Ugh.
it was
Cool.
so cool. So yeah, it was fun. Probably it's a lot though, because it's
Yeah.
like Thursday night is just a warm up night, so there's only like 2 stages open, and me and Zach were in bed by like midnight on the first night, but Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, like 4 big nights of just singing and dancing and like 40,000 steps every single day, and so
Holy
it was a
fuck.
lot. Like, I'm definitely like a 2-day girl, I think, because by the end, you're just like so tired, but the last night was like all the good DJs, so yeah, it was a lot, but it was good, and I'm glad that we did it. So,
Fun.
yeah.
So
That's
fun.
so beat that, you guys. What'd you do?
Can't. Kira, you can go.
Oh, okay. I had actually we just had like a productive weekend around here, but yesterday I had like one of my first like prep meetings with my birth doula, which was so fun and cool and like not what I was expecting. It ended up being this like 2-hour appointment with Chelsea. She's actually like on our team kind of behind the scenes. She works with some of our clients. She does body talk. Um So, yeah, we just had, like, the coolest meeting, and she told me something that was so interesting and just, like, gave me, like, the biggest aha moment. She was, like, talking about, okay, like, when the baby is, like, in the pelvis and, like, it's supposed to sort of rock back and forth almost, and she said, like, "prairie dog," which just made me laugh because that's I don't know, it's just funny. Like, it's supposed to kinda go out a little bit and then come back in, and then go out a little bit farther and then come back in.
Like a poop,
Like,
like a prairie
prairie
dog
dog
poop.
in it, prairie yeah. And she said it actually, like, primes the nervous system for your entire life almost, like, in that moment, and I was just like, "Whoa," because when I had Ellie, everything was so rushed, like, I was induced, and my induction happened very quickly, and then she moved into my pelvis very, very quickly, and she had to be, like, taken out with the vacuum, and one of the things they said to me, like, "You have to get this baby out in, like, 5 pushes." I was like, "Okay, cool, like, what does that mean?"
Fuck.
But it's
Thanks,
just so
doc.
funny because she didn't get that, like, time to prime her nervous system, and now I just, like, had an epiphany of, like, parenting her, and, like, as soon as you get one smidge of, like, rush in your voice, she, like it's the only thing that she, like, cannot really handle, so if I'm like, "'Kay, Ellie, get your dress on," she's just like nope, like, gone. She has, like
Mhm.
so anytime anyone's and, like, her birth was so rushed, so it just was, like, this really cool, like, moment for me that I need to, like, really, like, try, A, not to rush her
Mhm.
ever and just, like, sort of start to heal that, like, little piece of her, but she literally, like, took me back. She's like, "Hey, what is your main emotion coming up when you think about, like, your birth?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm kinda, like, anxious and nervous, I think, right now." She's like, "Okay, when do you first remember feeling that?" I, like, closed my eyes, she put this, like, hypnotherapy music on and took me back to when I was, like, 5 years old, and I remember this moment where I felt that way, and then she's like, "You just feel all the emotions, like, feel it." She's like, "Then sit beside yourself, like, now as you are, like, as if you were, like, your mother in that moment." So I, like, held my little 5-year-old self, Kira, and was just like, "It's okay, you're safe, like, Everything's okay." And then she, like, introduced herself to my, like, five-year-old self and just said, like, "I'm so sorry that happened. Someone should have been there to take care of you." And she's like, "Okay, Kira, what do you feel like was missing for you and would have really shifted that moment in your life?" And I was like, I just started to, like, cry so hard. So I'm like, "Well, an advocate," which is, like, what I've done for myself now by hiring her, is I've, like, given myself an advocate in this birth that I didn't have, and in my birth with Ellie and in, like, some major life experiences when I was a child. I was just, like, crying so hard. I'm like, "And I did it, I did it." Like,
Aw.
so it was so cool, and it just, like, released all of this pressure, and, like, it's just so crazy how birth is, like, so tied to like, life is just so connected, everything's full circle. But I just felt, like, so good after and so excited, and it's, like, all the more reason to, like I'm like, "What else? Who else can I hire? Who else can I pay to be on my team and make this experience, like, way easier?" So we literally, like, made a list of, like, "I'm gonna double my cleaning lady, I'm gonna book in, like, therapy appointments, I'm gonna have, like, a meal prep service." I'm like, "I'm just gonna soak myself in help this time around," and I'm so excited. So that was kinda my
Cool.
fun update,
So,
yeah.
is she gonna be there for the birth?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, and she just kinda, like, understands it from, like, a lot of different perspectives, like, physiologically, like, what the stages are and, like, what's gonna happen, how I'm gonna feel, and then she also says she, like, she's trained to pick up, like, if my breathing changes or my voice changes and I'm not able to control my breath anymore, she has, like, tactics to, like, bring me back to my breath and tell me, like, "Okay, it's
Cool.
sounding like you're in this stage of labor, and then you're in this stage of labor," and she knows, like, what I want and what I expect from whoever my team ends up being, whether I go to the hospital or not. She will be like, "Kira does not want all the fucking overhead lights on and 10 people in here, like, get out unless we call you," basically.
Oh my god,
So,
that's amazing.
yeah, and then if there is, like,
Okay.
some sort of intervention being asked for, like, with my induction last time at the hospital, they're just like, "You're gonna get an infection if we don't induce you and your baby's gonna die." That's basically, like, what they tell you. And she's like, "Well, I woulda said this, 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 so you at least have the options and the knowledge of, like, no."
Yeah, and someone that's not going through birth at that moment to,
Yeah.
like, actually think of those things, because in that moment, you're not, like, mid, like, contraction thinking
Yeah.
of all the reasons maybe why, and you have this doctor telling you exactly what to do. Well, that's so cool. I'm so
Yeah.
excited to hear how it goes, and I feel a
Yeah.
lot better about that than you just giving birth in the tub
In the tub.
upstairs and coming downstairs to Brett with the baby.
I mean, we
Yeah.
love that for
Well, I
you,
mean, we'll see
but
what happens.
no,
But, yeah,
that's
I'm, like,
awesome.
really excited that she'll be there and just, like yeah,
And just
I know.
having, like, an advocate in that moment, if you do end
Mhm.
up going to the hospital, like, I think everyone could benefit from that. That's so cool.
Well, because 'cause
Yeah.
you're just, like, such a heightened state
Mhm.
too that you don't know what you're doing or what you're thinking, and you're in so much pain, and then that's why there's so many stories of people like, things happening that the people didn't want or weren't in their
Yeah.
birth plan, but it's just, like, in the moment, the doctor's like, "You're gonna die, and your baby's gonna die if you don't do this thing." It's like, what are you gonna say? "Let me ask ChatGPT,"
Yeah.
like
Just a sec. "Hey, Brett." Uh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm
So
just,
no,
like,
that's
proud of
awesome,
myself
Kira.
for, like
That's I didn't know she did that either, so that's
Me
cool.
oh,
neither.
she's so cool, and she does the body talk, so she said, like, in the moment, if your labor is stalling, she's like, "I can, like, pinpoint what's going on in your body." It might be, like, if you have any childhood trauma, if you have a mother wound, if you have, like, this, she's like, "I can literally heal it in real time and, like, have labor continue." I'm just like, "Yeah."
So does she only work with people in Lloyd, or does she work with people, like, in Edmonton, kind of
I'm not sure because she's in
so we can
Vermilion,
plug? Mm.
and I feel like she's, like, taking on very few doula clients at this point, like, I wonder if she even does it, if she just, like, did it for me as, like, a I'll
Mhm.
have to ask her because 'cause I'm
Yeah,
like
because I feel like from what I've heard, it's really hard to get them, and so getting them, like, this close to your birth seems rare.
well,
Well,
I
it's hard to
hired
get
her
sorry,
sorry.
because there's what's the other one? Midwife versus doula, right?
Yeah, midwives are, like, very
Medical, like,
few and far
doctors.
between. There's, like, they've gone through medical training. They're basic well, I could be wrong, but from what I understand, they're like a nursing training specializing in birth, so they can,
Yeah.
like, do a lot of the interventions. They can, like, give you IVs, check your cervix. Like, she's not trained to, like, medically monitor birth. Her job is to, like, coach me through birth. She's
Yeah.
only for me, not the baby, kind of, and a midwife is more, like, medically trained, and I
Okay.
booked in with one, and they ghosted me, so I was like, "Oh, another fucking medical professional who was supposed to be, like, the holistic one and just completely screwed me over," and I was so pissed off, so I don't have a midwife.
Yeah, I wasn't even like just wanted to clarify the difference between the
Yeah,
2 because I've heard
yeah,
midwives are, like, impossible because it's impossible to even, like, get I know one person that got into, like, the midwifery program, and, like, it's, like, harder than getting into med school from what I've heard, and they, like, take so
yeah,
few in, that's why Canada has so few in
very
general.
few. There's, like, 12 in the Edmonton area, and that's pretty much it for Alberta. So, like, it's kind of a joke.
Yeah,
Crazy.
that's insane.
But yeah.
Well, that's exciting.
Jeb, you look like you had a fun weekend trip.
Yeah, we just went to the mountains, we did a hike called Tunnel Bluffs. It was It was a really, really nice hike. I'll definitely do it again. It was nice because it was, like, super hard for the first probably, like, 4 kilometers, just, like, a steady, steep incline, maybe 3 kilometers. Um, and at the beginning, I was like, "Oh my god," like, I had never done that hike before. I'm like, "Is this what it's gonna be like the whole time? Like, I seriously wanna turn around." But after that, it was, like, so nice and just, like, in the trees, and it was cloudy, and didn't really care that we weren't gonna see, like, the view because I'm like, I can come back and, like, literally next weekend if I want and go see it. So I was just, like, enjoying it. The weather wasn't too crazy, but we're hiking with another couple, and the girl's actually from okay, always it's where you and Zach went before the wedding.
Nicaragua?
Yeah, she's, like, from Nicaragua. She moved here, like, maybe, I don't know, like, 1 to 3 years ago, I'll just say. So I
Oh,
really wanted to see it for her. She, like, speaks, like, full English. She's, like, grew up but anyways, her family moved here, like, 3 years ago, maybe less, and I wanted her to be able to see the view, so I was kinda like, "Okay, like, really, is this actually gonna happen?" But so we got to the top, and then it was super cloudy. It looked like you were, like, in space, like, it was, like, so disorienting because 'cause you're literally in the clouds, and then just as we were about to leave, it completely opened up, and it was, like, such a beautiful view and
Wow.
it wasn't too hot, so that was nice, and then after that, Sunday, what did we do? I think I just kinda worked. Sunday, we went and ran some errands downtown, but it was a pretty, like, chill weekend. I was telling Lacey and Kira, I, like, didn't quite get sick, but I could, like, feel myself getting very, very sick and, like, could just feel my throat hurting, and then I got the canker sores, and then I was, like, just feeling, like, super lethargic, but I listened to my body. I got, like, 2 10-hour sleeps in a row, and I'm feeling good today, thank God, so, yeah, that's basically
Nice.
my update. For people that are watching, I
Awesome.
have my CGM on.
Ooh.
ooh.
What's a CGM, Jeb?
It's a continuous glucose monitor, and it continuously monitors your glucose. But no, actually, it lasts 10 days, and I did have some people asking questions about it, so maybe I'll talk about it here, but it lasts 10 days. They're, like, expensive. I have a friend who I went to high school with that actually works for this company, and so she sent it to me, which was kinda nice, and then my dad having type 2 diabetes, he gave me one of his the first time, so I've never actually had to buy them, but they're, like, I think, like, $120, and you only get to use them for 10 days, so
Mhm.
it's definitely an investment, and it's not the first line of, like, figuring out what's wrong. I think even in the PCOS episode, we had quite a few people, like, asking how to get them, and there's a lot more things that you can do before getting a CGM, but it does give you a lot of really good information, and so I just kinda wanted to see where my glucose levels were at as I'm continuing on this, like, journey trying to figure out what's going on with my hormones, and just really what they're great for is you can see how your body responds, and everyone is so different in their glucose, like, response and their insulin response, where some people might have potatoes and that might be the best thing for their glucose, whereas other people, potatoes might spike them like crazy and brown rice works, or fruit, for example. I had, like, cherries the other night and I was like, "I'm for sure gonna spike from these." Just because it's natural sugar, but there is sugar, and I stayed, like, super consistent, so it's just little things like those where you can, like, really learn what works with your body and what doesn't. Um, so yeah, I'll be sure to keep everyone updated with that. But
So cool.
ready to dive in, ladies?
Yeah, let's do
Yeah,
it. I'm
let's
excited
talk
for this
about it.
episode. I feel like this
Me
is going to
too.
be another one that Lacey and Jensen, obviously, as personal trainers, just have a little bit more overall knowledge than me. But I had a client the other day, and one of my new clients, and she asked me, she's like, I know that I like going to the gym, I like doing cardio, but like, can you just remind me why I need to be strength training from like a functional perspective? And I was like, that's such a good question. So then I went on like a deep dive and I was like, we should do a podcast episode on this because there was like 20 reasons that I was like listening off to her. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think a great place to start is just like why it's such an important piece of our program. And like maybe we can just toss around a few reasons that it's kind of evolved a little bit for us all over the years. And like for me personally, I remember just like going to the gym and like picking up the weights and kinda just dicking around, honestly, and, like, focusing really hard on cardio, and then the shifts that I started to see in my even metabolic function overall, and then how quickly my body changed when I was, like, actually actively, like, lifting, and also just, like, a definition of what lifting means might be a good idea because 'cause I'm like, "Am I really lifting if I just have, like, 5-pound dumbbells? Does that count as, like, weightlifting?" Um but yeah, what do you guys have to add to that? Like why it's such a core piece of our program at this point?
Yeah. I think like going into that explanation first of just helping people understand because I think so many women don't realize how strong they are. And it's like we'll take one trip from the car with our groceries and your baby and your purse and everything like that. And then you go to the gym and you pick up the 5 pound dumbbells, like Kira said. And so, in order to kind of get the most out of strength training and for it to do what all the benefits that we're going to kind of talk about, you do need to be challenging yourself because that's what's going to force the muscle to break down and then build up and become stronger. And so there's kind of like a rep range. I think it's anywhere between like 8 and 20 reps is what you want to do for hypertrophy, but we usually stay more in like the 8 to 12 rep range. So a rep is just like if you pick up a and do a bicep curl and you do one, like that is one rep if you bring the weight up. And so you kind of want to be picking a weight where you should be able to complete 8 full reps and it feels good and you have good form and everything. And then, but if you can complete more than 12 and you're kind of just like going and like it doesn't even seem hard or challenging, like that's a really good way to know that you should increase your weight because if you are just lifting really, really light and you're never challenging your muscle and you're never kind of like struggling for those last 2 to 3 reps, there's a very good chance that you're not actually building muscle. And then on top of that, you have to continue to do that, right? So if you at first struggle with 15 pounds doing a bicep curl, after 2 to 3 weeks, you're going to be able to do those full 12 reps without like struggling at all. And then that's a good way to know, okay, I'm going to increase my weight here. But I think it's just like playing around with it and being okay with failure. Like I always used to say this, I haven't said this in a long time because we don't talk about strength training as much anymore. But learning to see failure as a good thing was such a transformational thing of like my strength training journey because that is what was good was when in the gym if I failed I'm like awesome, this is great, like now I know where I'm kind of at, and then you try to just beat that. And I think failure in life in so many other areas we just see it as such a bad thing when really it's not. It's always going to happen, you should look for it to happen. And so that really helps develop a good mindset around failing is okay and it's just going to give you an opportunity to try again. And so you want to fail, you want to kind of plan for that and be okay with that because it can be, especially in the beginning of your weightlifting journey, I think it can be like scary. You're in the gym, it's usually a lot of guys. Just know that no one's looking at you, nobody cares, no one's paying attention. Most of the men in there are so obsessed with themselves that they don't even notice you. And just be okay with like picking up a weight and then not being able to finish your reps and struggling and like making a face and trying to finish that last rep because you'll build so much mental resilience, but you'll also just actually start putting on muscle. And so I think that kind of gives you guys maybe an idea of what strength training should look like. I don't know, Jeb, if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, I just feel like it's worth mentioning the whole like Pilates and yoga component of things. More so like the Pilates, I would say, is very present right now and prevalent right now is that the reason why people see results with Pilates to begin with is typically because they maybe haven't even been working out and were just doing Pilates or just doing like cardio before that, or maybe nothing at all. And at first, that body weight can be enough that it's that stimulus for your muscle to break down and then rebuild, like Lacey was talking about. But after a point, your body, that is not enough of a stimulus. And so that's why you might hear, like, oh, Pilates was really good for me. I actually saw a lot of definition during that time, et cetera, et cetera. It's because it can be, and body weight training can be enough at the beginning, but it gets to a point where that isn't enough of a stimulus. And there's a ton of other benefits. It's not to say that there's no benefits of Pilates once you get to that point, or yoga, or body weight training, or whatever that might be. It's just making sure we're not saying that is strength training, because it gets to a point where it isn't. And it's a really great thing to add in, but it's probably not something we just want to have alone, especially if we are trying to change our body composition, build muscle, improve our insulin sensitivity, improve our thyroid function, et cetera, et cetera. So that's something I would say there. I think I was definitely guilty as well. It was like the cardio, worried that lifting weights was gonna make me bulky, and you've probably heard us say this before. Lacey just had a post that went viral of her saying it, and it's that lifting weights is not gonna make you bulky. Like, when we were in the bodybuilding community, we always used to say, like, we were working our ass off in the gym to, like, try to get bulky and eating so much food, and it didn't happen. So, if you are that person that's saying, "Oh, I'm scared of lifting weights, they make me bulky," or maybe you think that when you have lifted weights, it makes you bulky, it's probably either inflammation or body dysmorphia, or you just don't understand actually how much you need to lift and how much you need to eat in order to actually build a lot of muscle. So, especially as women. Um, so yeah.
Yeah, it's just hard to get bulky from training naturally as a woman. Like, it's really, really, really hard. And so just don't be scared of that. And if you do feel like you're someone who gets bulky, like Jensen said, it's inflammation or body dysmorphia or body fat. You have too high
Mhm.
of body fat, because that does happen. But if you're at a healthy weight, then you shouldn't be bulky. Like, it
Yeah.
takes so hard, and you have to train so heavy to actually put on muscle. So yeah, don't be scared of it. But
And muscle looks good. I think people are scared of muscle. Like, when you do put on that muscle, muscle is what we're gonna talk about that does provide so many of these benefits for us. As Dr. Gabrielle Lyon always says this, it's muscle is the organ of longevity. It provides so many benefits. It helps with our glucose, it helps with our insulin regulation, it helps with so many things. So muscle is a really great thing, and people think, "Oh, muscle, bodybuilder, those women that look huge." Those women that look huge are on steroids. So just they didn't do that from just eating a little bit of extra chicken and lifting 20-pound weights instead of 5-pound weights in the gym. So just try to keep that in mind as we move through this. And I think for all of us, lifting weights started out as something to help change our composition and help the way we look. And that's usually the case for most women. And we started off with trying to do that through like cardio, et cetera. And then we actually saw what weightlifting did for our body. So not only does it offer all of these amazing benefits, it also will is the best way to change your composition. So, yeah.
Yeah, and like from a functional perspective, which is, well, I came in kind of more from the holistic side and then switched out. Now I'm like in the middle somewhere, but it's missing in a lot of these like holistic or functional programs. It's like there's no movement piece, there's no strength piece.
Yeah.
And so, just like a little caveat, like some of our clients do come to us that are severely depleted or major hormonal imbalances, and they're not ready for these like intense workouts yet. And it should be customized to like where you're at on your journey. And if you're like friggin' struggling to roll out of bed every single day and you can like barely make it through, like you don't need to be working out 3, 4 times a week, but just starting to like add movement in. I always love to say that, like, no matter what season of life I'm in, because like going through loss and infertility and pregnancy, it's like keeping like muscle building as like my top priority has been hard just because
Mhm.
of a lot of different reasons. And then all of a sudden I'm pregnant and I'm like, okay, I'm tired all the time. And then I lose that pregnancy and I'm like fucking sad all the time. And like, so just, but keeping movement as a habit is something that's so beneficial to anyone throughout their entire life. So even if it's just like you start forming the habit of movement where you like go for a quick walk to the mailbox every day and do like 4 stretches that you like, and then eventually just like build up that confidence within yourself to add more movement in. And honestly, this is just another plug for like hiring a coach because there are people that know how to create a program for you specific to exactly where you're at in your healing journey. And it's just such a catalyst for not only like health changes, but also mindset changes, which I think is the coolest part of it for me.
Yeah. And I think something to think about too is everyone's so different. Like, if you've never been resistance training, once again, like, or you've never been working out and you are super depleted, then, like Kira said, like walking, etc., is like the best thing you can do. But there's also the other side of the coin that we see. And I would say it was kind of me is you love working out. Like, it's something you really genuinely enjoy. You do these tests and you are also very, very depleted. It doesn't mean, in my opinion, I know there are cases where you probably do need to just really let it go, but I think there's like a balance to find. And for me, that was like if I wasn't working out, my mental health tanked quite a bit. And that's really normal. And so it wasn't worth completely not going to the gym, but it was just changing my movement. I added in more Pilates. I was lowering my weights. I wasn't trying to like hit a PR every single time I went into the gym. And that was what worked with me. So there's always going to kind of be like a balance on your journey.
Yeah, and I think even knowing, because Jeb, like we went from pushing ourselves progressive overload every single time, where now it's like I very rarely train how I kind of described in the beginning because I am at a point where I have enough muscle where I can maintain for probably the rest of my life and be super healthy metabolically with the amount of muscle that I have. And so I think too, it's just understanding that because we don't have a lot of people that come into our program that end up training 5 to 6 weeks. You're lifting super, super heavy because we are working with a lot of people through that healing phase. And so, yes, there might be periods of time throughout your healing phase where you do need to taper off
Mhm.
working out, but we'll go through all of the benefits and you'll understand why it's so important as more of just like a lifelong thing that you have to do as part of being a human. And something that's interesting because again, most of our clients that we deal with come from more of the side of overdoing it, whether it is with cardio or working out or boot camps or whatever it is. And their thing is always that I hear a lot is like, oh, it's just my biggest stress relief. And I think if working out is your like only way to, or your biggest stress relief, then that's also something that you need to like start paying attention to and start finding other ways to deal with that stress. But of course, there
Also,
is like the mental health component, and we never say nobody do any movement, but it's like,
yeah.
now switch your super heavy, intense, crazy cardio running a marathon training with like going for an hour long walk outside. Like you're still should reap those benefits. But I think, yeah, a lot of people just kind of use that excuse to overtrain by
Mhm.
saying it's my only stress relief and I need it for my stress relief. But that's actually just like a huge sign that you probably need to
Are
spend more time,
dysregulated.
like, meditating
Because if
and
your
less.
Yeah.
biggest stress relief is, like, shooting your cortisol through the roof at 5 a.m. every day, like,
Yeah.
On an
woof.
empty stomach with a
Yeah.
cup of coffee.
Yeah.
But it's funny, I've noticed that with a lot of clients too, and I think it's really common for women, and I've done it, and I remember Lacey, me and you talking about, like, our piece of shit anxiety, and it lets you check something off so many lists, like, working out is like, I'm a good person, I'm fit, I care about my health, I'm getting away from my job, my like, I'm getting me time, so it's like you get to check off so many boxes, but you might be pushing it too far, and I want it to be very clear that we're saying movement is super important, but I think, yeah, just evaluating that level of, like, do you need to do 5 hit workouts? Like, can you go down to 3 strength training workouts a week? And everyone's body responds so well to it. It's my favorite when someone who's been doing 5 hit workouts a week for, like, 7 years, and I'd, like, beg them to switch over to, like, 3 weightlifting sessions a week, and their body just, like, boop, instantly changes and shifts in, like, such a positive way, and they're like, "Oh."
Yeah, Because most people that work out that much and that intense aren't doing it because it's a stress relief, they're doing it because they're scared of gaining fat or gaining weight, and they think that that is what has to be done, or they have, like, little control over, like, what they're eating, they're binging or whatever it is. And so, yeah, it's, like, the biggest that's, like, the nicest thing, you guys. Like, I was speaking from a coming from a person who I was reflecting about this the other day. I bet you for, like, 12 years straight, I would do 2 a days at the gym and probably in a year take less than 8 to 10 days off. And that's, like, not even exaggeration. Maybe not every
That
day
is
2 a days,
fucked. That's
but
so
less
fucked.
than
It's
10 days
fucked.
off per year since, like, 2009 till, like, 2017, so or 2020 even, maybe even no, like, till 2023. Like, I didn't really slow down until I went on this journey where I tried to heal my psoriasis, and so it's just, like, I know it's hard, and we kinda talked about this even on the eating more episode. It's, like, so hard to wrap your mind around eating more food, and I get it, but man, it's like the biggest breath of fresh air when you're like, "Oh, I don't have to run a marathon every day, and then I can actually be leaner." So, there's a balance
Yeah,
to find
it's
for sure, but should we get into some of the benefits?
heck yeah.
Yeah, because there's a lot. One of
Maybe
the main
Kira can
ones.
do.
Yeah. Kira wants to
I'll
start,
start
sure.
with one. One of my favorites and something that was like that I learned from working with a coach and that I just never realized is like the lymphatic drainage detoxification aspect of it. And this one I think is very, very underrated overall on a health journey. And so basically our lymphatic system, if you look at a photo of it, you can, like, literally Google the lymphatic system. It looks very similar to, like, our veins and arteries that run through our body. It's massive. It's everywhere. It's going down our arms and our legs and up our neck. And unlike the what's it called? Circulatory system, right? That's our veins and
Yep.
stuff. That uses our heart as a pump, and it has to push all that blood all the way to our extremities and back. And, like, the heart has a big job, and we don't have that pump necessarily for our lymphatic system. We have to pump it with our breath and our diaphragm and movement. And it's like no coincidence that when we do the big six, it's literally like the main hinge points of our body are the most important like pieces of the lymphatic system for drainage. It's like we're supposed to be moving a lot more than we are. And like the three of us, for example, have desk jobs. Like if I didn't like consciously decide to move my body, I could be stagnant basically all day long. And like moving your body from an intentional perspective and with like functional weight, body weight or more added onto it is just such a great pump for our lymphatic system. And we talk about this on like our team calls and we see I think something that a lot of our clients will struggle with is just like maintaining the support of their drainage and detox pathways. And this is important for like cellular health on a like the smallest level is like something needs to get those toxins out and movement is just like the biggest piece. So I think for me, just like realizing that, okay, there's no pump for that. There's no like automatic pump for our lymphatic system that's just going like our heart all the time, no matter what, it just pumps. Like imagine if our heart wasn't pumping and we had to like physically move to get our blood going. It's just crazy. And our lymphatic system is that important. So I think for me, that's like my coolest favorite kind of obsession right now. And it's why I'm like, okay, I gotta like get up and do a little stretch. And it's why movement as a habit overall is so important. So that's my first one.
Yeah, and I feel like even with, like, the lymphatic drainage part, it's even just, like the cool part is, like, stretching or, like, rolling out, like, knowing how good rolling out is for your lymphatic system, it's also good for your muscles and for recovery, it just adds one extra layer, and everything we're gonna talk about adds one extra layer of, like, "Okay, I don't feel like stretching, but not only is it gonna make me less sore tomorrow and help with, like, my longevity, it's also going to help with my lymphatic drainage." But I also wanna say, Lacey, I didn't mean to cut you off because I thought you were gonna talk about fertility, and I was like, "Maybe we should let Kira talk about
Oh.
fertility." That's why I just wanted to
No.
so no one was like, "Why
I
didn't
didn't
Jensen
notice you
let
cut me
Lacey
off, but,
talk?"
I definitely was not gonna talk about fertility.
Okay.
Um, no, but something that we kind of we used to talk about a lot, and it's actually funny, like, thinking and talking about this because I've been working with a content guy to help me with my content, and he brought up last time, he's like, nobody on your team or you guys don't really talk about like strength training. Like, do you guys even think that that's important? And I'm like, that's kind of interesting because I think just like our change of direction over the years, going from focusing so much on fitness and so much on building muscle, and now we are more in this healing phase where a lot of people that we attract, they have to take time off and they're not able to train as much and everything like that. So it's interesting if even you're listening to this because we very rarely talk about strength training and why it's so good in any I don't think any of our content we really talk about that, but it
Yeah.
definitely is. But I was just kind of thinking about that the other day when he said that to me because I'm like, yeah, that's true. I'm like, no, 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 it's a foundation. Like,
Part of me
but
thinks it's because 'cause we're scared that, like, because people take what they want out of things, and I am always scared if I'm like, "Resistance training is good, and this is something I probably just need to get past," then people are going to be like, "Oh, well, I can work out 5 days a week because resistance training is good for me," and it's just so, like, nuanced, and so those really nuanced things, I feel like we all just kinda, like, stray away from
straight
talking
away
about.
from yeah. But muscle does burn more calories at rest than fat does, and so kind of like a way for you guys to understand that is if you were to lay in bed all day and there was 2 people and they both weighed 140 pounds, but one was 140 pounds of straight muscle and then one was a woman who had never really strength trained in her life, the person with the more muscle is gonna burn significantly more calories lying in bed doing nothing just because to,
Mhm.
like, maintain that muscle requires fuel, and so, obviously, the more muscle you have, the more calories you can consume and utilize, and just increases that resting metabolic rate. And so, that's like cool in itself, right? We all want to eat more food and not get fat. And so, if you have the more muscle that you have, the more calories you actually need. And that just means like you have better energy balance, easier fat loss, and a higher capacity to handle that food without it storing as fat. And even to go into a little bit of that is it really helps regulate blood sugar and insulin because you almost want to think about your muscle when you eat that sugar, it'll like soak up those carbs and use it as energy. And I don't know if that's like actual scientific, but that's kind of how I've always explained it, is that the muscle will soak up those carbs and then it will use it as energy instead of just going and being stored directly as fat. And so the more muscle that you have, the more insulin sensitive that you are, which just is, I mean, we've talked a lot about insulin sensitivity in many episodes because if you're insulin resistant, it can just lead to so many different issues. So those are kind of two that go hand in hand, but are a huge reason why it is super important to prioritize putting on muscle.
Yeah, and I think, with that being said, what you're talking about, like, burning more calories, another thing to mention is our body's really smart, and so when we are building muscle, it helps burn more calories, but if you're doing a lot of a lot of, running, a lot of not necessarily hit because like, sprinting can be great, but a lot of, like, just long cardio classes, whatever it might be, Orange Theory, just long runs, whatever, our body actually does the opposite because it's trying to protect us, and so, if you're going for these long runs all the time, then your body actually will start burning less calories because it wants to preserve those calories so that it has energy for those longer bouts. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, it's a protective thing. And this isn't saying don't do cardio because cardio is really, really important as well. But it is just interesting to kind of know that if you're so obsessed with burning calories and losing fat, but all you're doing is going on runs, then just
Over
something to
time,
think
it's
about.
kind of and
Yeah.
even on to add on to that, because that's something that even I had to get over in the beginning, switching from being the cardio queen to a strength training girly, is you like, if you do an hour of cardio versus an hour of strength training, if you're wearing your Apple Watch or calorie counter or whatever, you will burn significantly more calories in that hour from running or doing cardio, and so that's why a lot of women will get trapped in that headspace of, "Oh, I need to run because if I run for an hour, I burn 500 calories, but if I do an hour of strength training, I burn 100." But even going back to what we just said is like building muscle requires more energy. So you can burn calories up to 72 hours after your training session is over. So you're kind of continuously burning calories for 3 days versus a cardio session, as soon as you step off that treadmill, you're stop burning calories, and the next time you do that hour-long training session, you're gonna burn less calories than you did this time, because like what Jeb says, your body will start to adapt, and that's why, like, people who do run a lot, they're not always stick thin or super lean, and it's because over time, your body just gets used to it, and that becomes your new normal, and now if you stop running an hour a day, you're gonna gain weight, which is like, nobody
Yeah.
wants to be in that position ever. So, yeah.
Yeah. And then one I'll kind of go over is just like the nervous system impacts of resistance training. I think Lacey kind of talked about sorry, I forget what I was going with that. But with the nervous system part, I think the big thing to think about is there's a ton of benefits, but the way I kind of like to think about it is it trains our body to better handle those stressors. So it's kind of like people doing cold plunges because it helps your body um, better handle that stressors. It helps with your HPA axis. And that's kind of what resistance training does. It's a method to, we're intentionally adding a stressor to our body so our body can continuously be better at handling different stressors that are present as well. And so it really helps with the stress resilience is the word I'm looking for, I guess. So that's something to think about as well.
Yeah, and even just I was posting about this the other day. It's, like, so funny how I was camping for, like, 10 days, and then I got sick for a week and a half, and how quickly my brain was like, "Well, you don't really need to go today. You're probably still tired. You should wait. You should give yourself another rest." And I was like, "I had a great sleep, like, I feel really good today, and I have the time to go." And just, like, I know this is something that we will all have things to say about, but, like, starting to show up for yourself in this way, to me, it's been one of the most powerful pieces of my journey is just like being someone who works out consistently because it's not always easy. The timing isn't always perfect. You know, it's hard when you're camping. It's hard when you're on your holiday. It's hard when you like have a job and weird hours. And it can feel very hard to fit it in. But once you build that consistency, it becomes so second nature and so easy, and if you do miss a few weeks or even, like, months at a time, if you're, like, on that big, deeper healing piece, it gets easier and easier to come back to every single time, and it just sort of starts to show you, like, showing up is good, I feel confident, I'm someone who does what I say I'm gonna do for myself, and it literally trickles into, like, every other area and aspect
Mhm.
of your life, and when you show and it is a huge box to check off, like we talked about, from a positive perspective too, and it just kinda, like, gives you I always work out in the morning, I know everyone's really different, but I'm, like, a morning workout person, and the way that I feel for the rest of the day is just my sleep is impacted, I sleep better on the days that I get a workout in. My, like, capacity to parent and, like, be a partner is a lot broader when I've, like, already shown up for myself in such a big way. I think that's, like, a really cool piece of it too.
Yeah. And something that I always think about too is because I did train and I'm grateful for that. I trained so hard for so long that now it's very easy for me to maintain a lot of muscle on training like 2 to 3 days a week. And I've been reflecting on this a lot lately because even in the last year, the amount of times I've like posted an Instagram story and I'm like, first time back in the gym in 3 weeks, first time back in the gym in 2 weeks. Like just so many long hiatuses, which for different reasons, whether I was in a healing phase or I was traveling or life just got busy or whatever. But how you wanna think about it too is because sometimes with strength training, it's like, oh, you'll get into that self-sabotage of like, "Oh, I can't go 4 days this week, so I'm just not gonna go at all," or, "Oh, I can only go once this week, so I'm not just gonna go," but you wanna think about it as it's like deposits into a bank account, and so even for me, like, for 15 years, I made so many deposits, 2 a day for 15 years, like, my bank account of muscle is really, really high, so now I can afford to take that time off, and it's not gonna empty my bank account because I put so many of those mini deposits in, and so if you just look at every single workout like that mini deposit, it will help you develop that mindset, like, it doesn't matter if you can't go all of the time, but every time you go, it does matter, and so it's just helped me kind of reframe, especially now I'm in this phase where finding balance is hard. Like going from strength training every day to going to strength training 3 to 4 days a week was actually very hard for me to figure out how to do that because it becomes almost something that's put more on the back burner. Oh, I'll just go yesterday, where if you're going every day, you have to go over every
Yeah.
day or you're screwed if you miss a day. And so it was really hard for me, but just reminding yourself of that is like every time that you go does matter and it will put that deposit into your bank account. And this actually sets me up for my next point. That is beneficial because it just does prevent age related decline. Because women, once we turn, I think it's 30, we start losing muscle mass every single year, and that's gonna lead to, like, what we've talked about, slower metabolism, increased fat gain, weaker bones, more injuries, and that muscle does act, like, as a reserve to protect you in so many different ways, and so if you're not strength training now, it's really time to start putting those deposits in, or you're going to hit 0 in your deposit bank account a lot sooner. And even on top of this, I actually just made a reel about this, but 1 in 50% of women will get osteoporosis, which is
Yeah.
crazy. That's
The
so
bone health part of it is insane, like
yeah. And so that's something that we haven't touched on, but it does resistance training does build muscle and stimulates that bone density. And so as you age, because women just go through so many massive hormone fluctuations, we are more prone to having like smaller bone density, less bone
Lower?
density. I'm like, right, what's the right word? So if you want to prevent osteoporosis, it's really great to start incorporating strength training. But isn't that crazy? 1 in 2 women? Like, that's insane.
and
Yeah.
then those are the people where it's like you break your back and then you, like, have this other disease come up, or honestly, a lot of the times when you're that age, you break your back and that's what triggers, like, you dying in the next year, and I know that sounds
I think it's
harsh, but
hip, not back.
well, you
Back
know
is
what I mean,
sounds
any
so
kind of
intense for
bone,
some reason.
but
You
Breaks me.
slipped
it's
and broke your back.
Yeah.
but it happens, like, it happens
Yeah.
all the time,
Mhm.
and, like, the one thing, and I think the generation of our parents are the ones that are experiencing that because they were the women that did, like, the 5-pound weights and you're, like, jumping around the gym and, like, not actually resistance training. None of them have muscle, like, that's not there's the people that are scared of muscle, and so we have the ability, and even if you're 50, 60 years old, you can still build that muscle. It's very, very possible. It's harder for sure, but you have the ability to change that and change your outcome and make sure that that isn't the thing that ends you up in the ends why you end up in the hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember someone saying, like, picture your bones, your skeleton, and your muscle is literally what, like, holds it together, and for some reason, like, imagining that and picturing that just, like, was a light bulb for me of like, "Oh, yeah, like, if that muscle starts to dwindle, the actual, like, layout and composition of your body and your bones is going to deteriorate as well," and I was just like, "Holy shit, that blew my mind."
Yeah.
That's crazy. But yeah, we always say well, I always say to people, and I think Kira actually this stemmed from like one of your posts, but it's you have to think about what you want to feel like and what you want your life to be like when you are 60, 70, 80 years old and like live for that version of you because it's just a little bit of a wake up call when you think about, oh, if I, yeah, fall down and I have osteoporosis and I break my hip or break my leg and then my husband, if you're lucky, is gonna take care of you, but it's probably more so going to be your children, and then you're putting that on them, you know what I mean? Like, you're like, "Oh, I don't wanna strength train right now, so sorry, kids, but you're gonna have to take care of me when I can't get out of my chair when I'm 70 years old and my life is pretty much over." Like, it's, like, harsh to think about that, but it's, like, at some point, you have to because we all don't think it's gonna happen to us until it happens to us, and then when it does, we're like, "Oh, I would have done anything to get my health back." But it's like, well, why is it so hard for you to be a little bit proactive when you're at the age where you don't have to do it yet, but you should do it to prevent those? And so I think just kinda getting a little bit honest and asking yourself, like, what am I setting my future self up for with my current choices? Because that's always the thing is we never, ever, ever think we're going to be the ones that is going to get the cancer or the diabetes or the osteoporosis and not be
Broken
able to walk
back.
or lift
Broken
groceries
back.
or like break our freaking back. Like we never think it's going to be us. And
Yeah.
then there's like that one saying, like, we're we all give away, like, sacrifice our health to usually, like, make money or for our kids or whatever, but then as soon as our health goes, we will literally sacrifice it all. Whatever it costs, whatever it takes, we'll do it all, like anything, right? But it's like to take preventative action is just so hard for humans, and it's just so
Well, especially
interesting.
now and it's getting harder, and it's not like our fault necessarily, we just live in that, like, quick fix society, and
Yeah.
there's so many things out there now that are just, like it's just always all about weight loss, which is just that's probably flag that we should do an episode just on, like, weight loss is just so important to everybody, and it's like, that's taking years off your life, honestly, in the long run if you've been focusing on it for a really long time and never coming back to, like, the foundations and your minerals and your muscle. It's just, like, so funny how it's, like, a quick fix and it's for right now, and it's actually depleting us and taking years off of our life, and then we want it the other way at the end of it. It's just people are
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I even think back when you said that, Lacey, like, when you're in that position, like, you'd do anything to go back and, like, reverse it essentially and, like, do anything at that time, but I was thinking about my dad with him having type 2, and I was like, I honestly think if you were to ask him, "Would you go back and, like, do everything you can to reverse it?" I don't know if he would because now we have those medications, like, in his eyes, and I think he's the majority because this is what doctors are telling us, like, he's fine, like, you know what I mean? Like, he's healthy, I'm okay, I don't need to go back and reverse it because I have these, like, amazing medications that are keeping me healthy, so it's just so interesting that
oh,
the
and there's a
system is setting us
medication.
up to not give a shit, like
Well, and he
Yeah, and
probably
there's
forgets what
something
it
for
feels like to
everything.
be healthy, or he doesn't even
Mm.
know, you know what I mean? That it's like
yeah,
that's what's even sad, and I think and type 2 diabetes is maybe is probably for sure more like that because it's not like on a daily basis you're well, he probably doesn't feel amazing, I can't imagine, but, like, it's not
I don't
it
know.
hasn't changed his life that much yet, or anyone in his life yet, but
Yeah.
it's like when it gets to that point, what's gonna happen? Like, so it's just yeah, that's a good point, though. It's interesting to think about people's
Well, it's like
mindset.
cholesterol, like,
Well, yeah, then all of a
insulin
sudden
resistant.
your blood pressure's a little off, so you get meds for that, and then it messes with your sodium level, so you get meds for that, and then you can't sleep, and you have a med for that, and then you can't shit, so you have a med for that. It's just, like, constant just stacking them on. I know, I'm like, "Oh my
Paying the big dogs to eat.
god." Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's sad. So, anyways, moral of the story go to the gym, you
Go to
guys.
the
Lift some
gym.
heavy weights, challenge yourself. You're going to be better for it. You can completely transform your whole entire body. Like when I look at my body before I lifted weights, my body is completely different now. You can make your waist way smaller, well, appear way smaller. You can get that hourglass, you can build a butt, and you're gonna, like, live a long, healthy life if you choose to do it. So it's, like, everything that we want, and always one of my favorite things too, and I can't remember you said something, Kira, to trigger this thought, but, um, is you can't there's no cheating it, you know what I mean? And so
Mhm.
when you see a person that has muscle and has a good body, you know they prioritize themselves, you know they take care of themselves, and so they are more likely to have a successful career, have a good partner, live a good life because you're just going to attract people who see you like that, you know what I mean? And so
Mhm,
it's like if
Mhm.
you are neck and neck with this person at work and you're both going through the for the promotion and you're in really really good shape and you're super healthy and you always have good energy and you never snap and you're never cranky and you feel great versus this other person who at like a work level, you're maybe the same, but they're snappy, they don't take care of themselves, they're not in good shape, they're always tired, dragging, like, you're gonna get the promotion. So it's like it just shows up in all areas, and there's just no way to cheat
to
it.
cheat
Like, you
it.
can't put on
Mhm.
muscle any other way than going to the gym over and over and over and over again for years, lifting progressively, and actually trying. And so I just think, like, that's cool. Like, like, I don't know.
Yeah, it is. It's very
Yeah,
cool.
because there's not a lot of, like, hard things in our life anymore, and I've actually heard a lot of people and I know we had a mental health note to talk about, and it's like, humans are meant to, like, struggle through the day to, like, find their food and, like, light a fire and get their firewood and lug their water from the stream or whatever, And we don't have any of those struggles anymore. We literally just walk around, flip a button, and get what we want. And so to add in those things that are, it's so funny because like I feel like Joe Rogan is the one that I always hear talk about this. It's like we need hard shit that we don't want to do in our day because then when we have real hard things in life, and we all have shit, like life is actually fucking crazy sometimes, like the things that humans have to go through. And when we haven't put ourselves through anything hard ever in our entire life, and all of a sudden we have to give birth or we get fired from our job or there's a global pandemic. It's like we just have no capacity to deal with a real hard thing. And so just giving yourself that little taste of it every day is just so good for our mental health and nervous system overall, which is also
Yeah.
it's also cool.
Yeah.
And I
Mm,
think the giving birth thing, you just saying that, that's a whole other, but how much better your recovery is going to be and how much easier birth is on you if you have like prepped your body and have muscle leading into that pregnancy could be a whole episode in itself. But if you are planning on getting pregnant or you are getting pregnant, now is the time to start because it is so, so important.
mhm,
Yeah, and I know we mentioned Lacey, you mentioned the fertility piece, but we didn't really go down it, and I'll quickly just touch on it because it does kind of go hand in hand with the like insulin sensitivity piece because insulin and cortisol are so tied together. If your cortisol is jacked up, your insulin is jacked up. Like they just really match each other. And I always call cortisol like the daddy of all the hormones. If it is out of balance, you're not producing progesterone properly. For men, like you're going to have low testosterone, you're going to be estrogen dominant, which is all of these things. Like from a fertility standpoint, you're going to struggle, but also just like crappy things with like our skin and our energy. Like estrogen dominance for women is usually like cycle symptoms, like really painful, heavy periods and like acne and things like that. And just like the fact that working out, you get to look good, but you also get to like literally heal your roller coaster cortisol and all your other weird symptoms is just like all of these little foundational pieces that we talk about. It's never just like one thing, it's multifaceted and it's helping your health in like all, so many different ways, which is awesome.
yeah, it is awesome. So, do some hard shit every now and then, you guys, it's good for you. But
Well,
it
and
is
just how good you feel after is crazy.
well, yeah,
Like,
like, no one can like, ignore the post-glow endorphins from training, and it's like, even if you struggle to go, like, what we always tell our clients is just put your shoes on. Like, I used to say if a client didn't wanna go work out, I'm like, "Cool, you don't have to go work out, but, like, put your whole workout outfit on and then sit on the couch," because that's step number 1, and then they'd be like and then you're sitting there on the couch with your running shoes on, and you're like, "Well, I feel stupid, like, I'm at least gonna go for a walk." Or it's like, "Oh, if you don't wanna go work out, just tell yourself you're gonna go to the gym and walk for 5 minutes," because as soon like, movement brings action and, like, brings energy, and so the more that you move, the more that your body wants to do it. Like, now at this point in my lifting career, if I go a couple days, like, I literally feel like I can't even sit in my body, like, my body is craving it so much, and so if you just try to form the habit and just get yourself to the gym, do tell yourself you're gonna do 1 movement or whatever, like, any deposit is better than nothing, and it will transform your life because even like Kira said or I said in the beginning, like, not only does it teach you that failure is a good thing and that you should expect it, but it teaches you that hard things are also good and you're gonna get better at doing other hard things, and, like, for me, it was also that act of getting 1% better every single day, so there's just so many, like, life lessons that will transfer to other areas of your life from the gym, and I just think, yeah, it's just so good.
well, and it's just a way to practice that discipline, and you continuously get better with like using that discipline as you continue to practice it. And so, if that's what your discipline is if you don't like going to the gym, but you force yourself to do it, just how good you feel is going to come from that. But also, it's just going to get continuously easier and easier to do those things that feel hard. And
Yeah.
that's going to show up in those other areas in your life.
Yeah, and that's why we always kinda talk about too, whenever we get out of a routine, like, I used to be the person that if I was away for a week, it's be like, the next day I'm meal prepping, I'm going to the gym, I'm doing all of these things, and you would just kinda burn out because you get addicted to not doing hard things, and so that's why I know even for people who have never worked out or have never really done anything intentionally hard that didn't just come out of nowhere, they didn't have any control over, it is hard to get into that discipline zone where you're like, I'm doing it. And so now it's like if we take a weekend off, or even now I've taken 5 days off or 6 days off from the gym, I'm not going to go do a 2 hour workout today. I might go for a walk. And it's like you start to bring just the action and the habit back
Mhm. Yeah.
and everything like that. But you do crave it. And I remember even when me and Zach were gone for like the month for the wedding and our pre-wedding trip, when I got back, I was like, life was just so easy, like all-inclusive hotels, drinking, like not working out, like didn't have to make one hard decision for 4 weeks. I didn't do anything that was a struggle. And like by the time I got back, I was like, Zach, we need to like go for a cold plunge or something. Like I need something hard in my life because you do get addicted and into that habit of like,
Mhm.
this is easy. Like I don't have to do anything ever. And when people get sucked into that mindset, I think that's when it becomes really hard to come out of. And so it's like when you do feel yourself like that, like just start doing hard things where you do have to beat that voice inside your head that telling you you don't have to do it. So, yeah. Anyways, I digress.
I
I think
think we
that's
can kind of, yeah, go into just I think the only tips I would have, I think we went over everything, is I think it's just so different for everyone, but like anywhere from like 1 to 4 times a week, strength training is a good place to be at. I think hiring someone for help is extremely beneficial and important, not only for the physical aspect of it and seeing progress and avoiding potential injury, but also for the accountability aspect of it. And then another thing I think is important is if we are resistance training, strength training, and we want to see progress and we also don't want it to impact us negatively, we need to be eating enough. We need to be eating enough protein. We need to be eating enough carbs. We need to just be eating enough calories in general. So that's something worth mentioning as well. And I think one last thing, if you guys don't have anything to add, is just the whole cycle syncing scenario. We've talked about this before, but if this is maybe one of the first episodes you've listened to or you haven't listened to in a while, is we believe in listening to your body. We don't necessarily believe needing to like sync your workouts exactly with where you're at in your cycle, because some people are going to feel amazing during their period. And if the cycle syncers say to not resistance train, then you're missing out on like I'm pretty sure with cycle syncing, it says to actually like strength train 1 week of the month. And I'm like, that is not enough. And so there is a component. If you feel like shit during your period, if you feel like shit during your luteal phase, maybe you're not going to the gym in your luteal phase if you like truly feel like crap and you just need to walk and that's going to be best for healing your body. But maybe you start to feel a little bit better in like when you get your period, so maybe you just go for a lighter workout during that time. And for me personally, working out during my period makes me feel a million times better. I never want to do it, but I always feel like 1,000 times better afterwards. And everyone's going to be so different. But if you're only working out like strength training 1 week out of the month, it's, in my opinion, not enough.
yeah.
So just something to consider.
No, and I think even on top of that too, it's like if you do feel that bad during your luteal and your period where you can't work out,
Yeah.
just know that that's not normal and that you should, if you are not working out, it should be only for a short period
Yeah.
of time, whether that's who knows, 1 year or 3 years or whatever. And you should be doing things to improve that and be on some sort of a healing journey. But if you just feel like shit 3 out of the 4 weeks of the month and you just think that's
Yes.
normal, and so that's your excuse not to work out, that's not really like the approach or what we're trying to get across, because you should feel good enough in all phases. Really, there's probably maybe like the odd day it's normal to not feel great, to want to like move your body. But if it's that bad where it's like 3 weeks, then
I
there's
think
your
people
body's
just use it as an
communicating something.
excuse to
Yeah,
not
you're
work out
a
in
hundred
like
percent.
2 out of the 4 of the
Yeah.
weeks, which some people aren't, but I think it just ends up being an excuse for people where it's like, "Oh, well, I'm in my luteal phase. I don't need to work out at all." And maybe you had like a really crazy month and in your luteal phase, randomly you do not feel great. And so there, but yeah, like Lacey and Kira would say, is it's not normal to feel like you can't get out of bed during your period and in your luteal phase. It's normal to feel a little more tired and like you want a little more rest, but it's not normal to be like, I can't move for
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Yeah, and your workout shouldn't make you exhausted for the rest of the day in any phase of your cycle too.
Yes. Yes. That's a sign that it's a good workout, is if afterwards you feel good. If you're feeling like crap after your workouts, it's not a good
Dig
workout.
deeper. Yeah.
Mhm. I
Okay,
think that's
team. Well,
basically it.
that's
Mhm.
basically it. So,
I hope everyone enjoyed this episode and loves strength training as much as we do. Apparently, we've been dying to talk about this. And if you guys have any questions, let us know. But just with that being said, if you guys need help, even if it's a personal trainer in a gym, there's so much benefit if you are intimidated by lifting weights because it is something you need to be careful with and you need to do with proper form because it can cause injury if you're not doing it in the right way. So we really, really recommend asking for help, even if it's a trainer at a personal gym and not us. We're very happy to help if that's who you decide to ask. But that's always the first step if you're feeling intimidated. And like Lacey said at the beginning, if gyms make you nervous, maybe you start at home, but also no one is paying attention to you at the gym. So don't even worry about that. So, yeah, that's basically it. I hope everyone has a good Wednesday. Leave a review, comment below. I hope you guys are enjoying watching us if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you follow us and subscribe and like. And we'll talk to you guys next week.
Bye.
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 Thanks for tuning in to The Wellness Effect. We're so grateful to be part of your wellness journey. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and follow us on Instagram for more tips, laughs, and real talk. We'll put all of our handles in the show notes. If you have questions or ideas for future episodes, slide into our DMs or send us an email. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, keep creating your own wellness effect.